or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right, the court will note the witness has been placed under oath at this time, so I am going to inquire. This case has been live streamed and available for view by the public in general or anyone interested. So Ms. Woodbury Shank, have you watched this trial or observed any of the trial testimony since the trial began?
No,
Okay. Have you discussed with anyone else your testimony, anyone that has testified in this case?
no.
All right. Thank you for your responses then, Mr. Wood. If you'd like to inquire on direct, you may.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Could you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Yeah, it's Sydney Shank, Schenk.
Ms. Shank, what state do you currently reside in?
I currently reside in Arizona.
Have you ever lived in Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes, in 2019, I lived in Rexburg, Idaho.
What were you doing there?
I was attending college at Brigham Young University, Idaho.
Were you working at the time?
I was not.
Were you looking for work?
Yes.
What kind of work were you looking for?
I, in the past, have nannied and babysat. I enjoy watching kids, so I went on a website called care.com, looking for a job opportunity to be a nanny.
Through care.com, did you ever meet a Lori Vallow?
Yes. So I posted a job listing that I wanted to nanny, and she replied to my listing, and we got in contact on the website, and then later messaged through text and set up a time for me to come meet her and her son JJ.
Where did you meet her?
I met them at her townhome in Rexburg.
And do you remember approximately when you met her?
Yeah, it was September 18th.
And through that conversation, did you learn if JJ had any special needs?
Yes. So she mentioned, yeah, he has autism and that he had difficulty focusing at times and had some behavioral difficulties at times. And yeah, that he needed extra help.
When you met with her, did she say anything about her husband?
She did. She mentioned as we got to know each other that they had just moved to Rexburg from Arizona and that her husband recently passed away from a heart attack and that JJ was kind of struggling to understand that.
Did she tell you anything else about JJ?
Not really that day, just yeah, that he had autism and some difficulties.
Did she speak with you at all about a daughter named Tylee?
She didn't mention her name, but she did say she had a daughter that was living in town, attending college, and that sometimes she would come to visit and do laundry or come home for dinner, and sometimes would babysit, but that she didn't like babysitting without being paid. And so she wanted someone else to come in and help her.
And so, from your understanding, was this daughter living in a separate location than Lori Vallow?
From what I understood, yes.
And this was on September 18th of 2019.
Yes.
Did she hire you to watch JJ?
Yes. So we had discussed coming in the future and coming the next day. She needed to go to the airport to pick up a friend and she needed some help watching him just for a few hours. So I came the next day on the 8th or the 19th to watch JJ.
Did she, and approximately how many hours did you watch in that day?
I want to say 3 to 4 hours.
Did Lori say anything to you about JJ's medications?
She did. She, when I arrived, explained like what to feed him and some activities to do. And then also that if she got home later, that I could give him some medication to help him sleep.
So tell us about watching JJ. What do you remember about that experience?
I remember him playing with the neighbor kids the majority of the time, and it was going fine. He was a fun kid, and he eventually went over to the next door neighbor's house to play. And I fed him some dinner before he left. And eventually his mom was going to come home soon. So I went back and picked him up from the friend's house. And he seemed really upset and just sad. They had a little tiff about sharing toys or something. And he was pretty upset. And I tried to calm him down best I could, but he had some behavioral difficulties calming down and was getting a bit aggressive and angry.
Did you have any other contact with Lori Vallow that night?
I did. So she came home from the airport with her friend, and her brother was there, and she tried to help me calm down JJ. And just in the midst of kind of him freaking out, I just left and she paid me. Um, yeah.
Did you have any further communications with Lori Vallow?
I did. So a couple days later, I messaged her again, hoping to work again. This, from my understanding, was going to be a longer term job that I could work for her few times a week as she needed it. And asked when I could come back. And she said that JJ went with his grandparents for a month and that she was in Hawaii for a month. And that after that month had passed, I could reach out to her again to reschedule another time to babysit.
And did you ever try to do that?
I did. Yeah, I called her and texted her and never got a response back from that point on. I didn't speak with her at all.
So you never heard from her again?
No,
Did Lori Vallow ever mention the name Chad Daybell to you?
no,
So you, through your contact with her, you never heard of a Chad Daybell?
no, never.
Your Honor, that's all the questions the state has for now.
All right, Mr. Pryor, cross-examination.
It's still morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Um, do you have a recollection of about what time Lori Vallow returned home?
I I don't know for sure, but it was around dinner times, probably around 5 or 6 at night.
Okay, you mentioned that it was about 3 or 4 hours that you watched JJ, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then you and this was Thursday, right?
Yes.
And then what time did you arrive to start the babysitting?
I I don't know for sure, but must have been 4 hours before that. So around maybe 1 o'clock.
Okay.
I don't know for sure though.
And you mentioned that you fed JJ that day. You fed him dinner.
Yes, yeah.
Is it possible it was after dinner?
That what was after dinner?
When Lori Vallow returned?
Yes, yeah.
So you don't know about what time after dinner, though?
No, not for sure.
Okay. Okay. Now, before you started babysitting JJ that day, Lori warned you about some behavioral problems, right?
Yes, yeah.
Warned you how to distract him, do things to distract him, show him a show,
Yeah.
or keep him preoccupied because JJ suffered from a form of autism, from what I understand, correct? Right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And when Lori left, did she leave with anybody?
Yes, she left with her brother.
Do you remember what his name was?
I believe it was Alex.
Okay. And do you know about what time they left?
I would guess around 1 o'clock. Shortly after I arrived, they left.
Okay. Okay. And they were going to pick up a friend on Thursday that day, correct?
Correct.
And do you know the name of that friend that they were going to pick up Thursday afternoon?
I did not.
Did you happen to see her when she arrived?
Yes.
Can you describe what color her hair was?
It was a long time ago.
Okay,
But from what I remember, I want to say blonde,
okay.
but honestly, I don't remember for sure.
And a slender lady.
Yeah.
Did anybody mention the name Melanie by any chance?
I can't say for sure. I don't remember.
At some point later, did you find out who that other friend was?
No.
Okay. And you noted I read the officer's report about the interview with you. You noted that she came in and she didn't have any uh, luggage with her.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that struck you as kind of odd.
Yes. I didn't know how long she was staying, so or maybe she left it in the car. I don't know.
Okay, you don't know,
Yeah.
but she didn't come in with the luggage, right?
No.
Okay. Okay. And you noted that there were some behavioral problems with JJ right off the beginning, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Something about going upstairs and he knocked a mirror on the bed or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
He was just kind of freaking out. And when we came home from the friend's house, he kind of threw like the ottoman and a chair down. And then he ran upstairs and wanted space. And I heard something fall, and it was the mirror. So I went up to check on him to make sure that he was okay. And I saw that, yeah, it was broken.
So from what I understand, you're telling me is that Lori Vallow warned you ahead of time that JJ had some behavioral problems.
Correct.
Maybe not to the extent you experienced though, right?
Yeah.
And this was a handful of activity with JJ, right?
Correct.
Throwing a lot of things, correct?
Yes.
Misbehaving, tantrums,
Yes.
throwing things upstairs, throwing things downstairs,
Yes.
climbing up and down all over the furniture.
Yes.
And this was on the 18th, Thursday, the 18th of September, and you were alone with JJ when all of this was going on, right?
It was the 19th.
I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
19th, Thursday, the 19th.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then at that point, after you had sort of straightened things up in Lori's house, you went over to pick him up with the friend, right?
No, he was upset and throwing stuff after the friend's house.
Okay. But before he started throwing the stuff, he was over at a friend's.
Correct.
And was there a little bit of drama over there as well?
Correct.
Talk about that with me a little bit. What kind of drama did we have while he was over at the friend's house?
From what I remember, they were just upset about a toy or sharing a toy.
Okay,
And JJ had a hard time doing that.
okay. So I'm bouncing around for a reason, so please bear with me. When the person who showed up from the airport on the 19th, the only people in the house at that point would have been the person they picked up at the airport, Alex Cox, Lori Vallow, and JJ, right?
Correct. Yes.
And at no point during that time did you ever see anybody else at the house. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. You never heard anybody mention the name Chad Daybell, did you?
No.
Now, were you aware that JJ and Tylee had a very close relationship?
No, I wasn't
Okay.
aware.
But interestingly, you noted to the officer that when um, uh, when Lori and her friend and Alex got home, you told Lori about, JJ's behavior.
Correct.
And to some extent, it was still going on, correct?
That's correct.
And at that point, you made note of the fact that Lori seemed to be acting in a particular way towards JJ, right?
Correct.
And you said it appeared to be a little overwhelming. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, I felt And maybe I was judging, but I felt as if she was too comforting to him and didn't try to correct that behavior. Because to me, throwing chairs and breaking stuff isn't an appropriate behavior. And instead of correcting that, she was more just emotionally there for him and like being very sweet and kind to him, which I guess is a loving mother. But to me, that was a little strange that she wouldn't correct that inappropriate behavior.
Right. And you viewed her behavior as over nurturing.
Yeah,
She went over the top.
correct.
She was cuddling him too much.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And all of this behavior that you saw, well, the active behavior by JJ at that time, did that continue on while you were there? Lori was there, Alex and this other person?
He seemed to calm down a little more once she came
Okay,
and it improved a little.
okay. And lastly, while you were there, the person that they picked up at the airport, when all of this behavior was going on and you were trying to explain to Lori, did the person who they picked up at the airport, did she ever use the word zombie?
No,
Did Lori Vallow at that time ever use the word zombie to describe Alex's erratic behavior?
no,
Did Alex Cox ever use the word zombie to describe JJ's erratic behavior?
no,
Did anyone in that house at the time, when JJ was acting up, use the word zombie?
no,
Did you ever hear the words from JJ using the words zombie?
no.
I have nothing else.
All right.
Nothing on redirect.
All right, that concludes the testimony of this witness then. Thank you for appearing today. Will this witness be recalled by either side?
Not by the state.
Ms. Pryor?
No, Judge. Oh,
Okay,
it's on, Judge. No.
all right, that concludes your testimony then. You may be released. Thank you for appearing today. All right, state have another witness lined up to call before we start lunch.
Yes, Your Honor, the state would call Dr. Josh Wilson.
Okay,